You do, I can tell. Well, why don't you do it? Why don't you punch me in the face? Punch me in the fucking face! Oh, 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 oh shit! Oh, my shoulder! Awesome!
Welcome back to Kirill Smashes Acting. I'm Kirill, actor, educator, cat enthusiast. Today we take the next step in our journey on nailing our theatrical auditions with how to own the room. So you might hear every now and again a little bell go off. That's actually our new foster cat, and she came with a collar that has a little bell on it, and she loves it. So I'm gonna leave it on. You've heard many of your instructors over time talking about the importance of owning the audition space. And I completely agree. When you're in the audition room, that is your time to do whatever it is that you want to do. Don't let nerves or anything else get in the way. Everybody in that room wants to see you succeed. The people auditioning you want you to be the right fit, so they're not against you. Always remember that. Now, we've all heard the statement, own the room, and today we learn how to do that. The first step to really owning the room is remembering that you are in charge of your entire performance. This monologue is really just a one-act play for you. So don't forget your homework. You're in charge of everybody's reaction, you're in charge of your reaction, and you're in charge of the choices every character is making. So make sure that you think about it as a one-act production with a beginning, middle, end. I know I've hit this point before, but I cannot stress enough how important it is to really make sure that you are in control. The next thing to remember is you have to enter the room with purpose. Your purpose is to get the job or to get the part in the ensemble. But that means that from the moment you walk into the room, you are already auditioning. So observe the setup. What does the room look like? As you're walking in and saying hi to everybody, look around and find where the best lighting is. Where is the best place for you to stand to get your point across and to really be seen by the people watching the audition? How far away is that? Where's the chair if there is one? Do you need to strike the chair from the prior auditioner? You have just a few seconds, but that should be enough time to set everything up. Use your hellos as a way to judge where the best sound is. From the moment you walk in, everything has a purpose. And the purpose is, well, getting hired. If you are going to use the chair in your audition, try to place it before your introduction begins. Grab the chair, say hi, put it where you want it, then stand in front of the chair and give your slate an introduction and so on. And make sure you strike the chair on the way out. Even if the person before you didn't, make sure that you do. Remember, you're being observed from the moment you walk into the room. So your setup, your introduction, and your breakdown, if you do use the chair, are all a part of your audition, so make sure that no amount of effort is wasted. This one might sound silly, but wait for the stage manager to cue you or introduce you before you just begin. You know that if you walk into a room and there is no stage manager, you could pretty much say hello and wait to begin your process or your audition until the people auditioning you say that they're ready. But if there is a stage manager, wait for them to give you the cue or to introduce you before you just begin. The biggest thing to remember is that you don't want to rush once you're in the room. And a lot of people, they get so excited that they just want to jump in front of their introduction or get to their audition so quickly that they actually end up making their time in the room much shorter than it should be. So when you walk in, if there's a stage manager, wait for them before you just begin talking. If there isn't, say hi, and make sure that the auditioners make it clear that now you can begin. You also don't want to take away from them being able to write down notes about you. By the way, if the auditioners are talking amongst themselves or doing some kind of work, don't interrupt them. Just wait until they're ready to give you the attention that you deserve. Remember, it is your time slot. While so many actors completely ignore practicing the slate, if you've been paying attention to these videos, you know that the slate is a chance to show them who you are and why they would want to be around you for all this time. Of course, the cats are fighting now. The slate is a chance to introduce yourself at your most commercial, at your most relaxed, and at your most free of tension. So make sure that you're rehearsing your slate so you can achieve and show them that kind of relaxation and freedom that you're trying to go for. Speaking of slate, Know that they might change it up a little bit. They might ask you some questions or interview you before you even audition. So be ready to play and improvise if needed, because you really never know what's going to happen when you walk into a room. Once you do get to your slate, since you're rehearsed, you're not going to let any changes throw you off your game. By the way, if you do not know how to pronounce something in your slate, look it up. Google is there for everybody. And that goes with any words in your auditions too. This tip has been covered in a previous video, but it cannot be understated. Make sure that after your slate, you take a moment to transition into your character. After your slate, you've given the piece and the writer, and now take a second, find your imaginary partner. Remember, you're never looking at the people who are assessing your audition. So find an imaginary partner somewhere up and behind them so they could see your eyes. Once you've found your imaginary partner, take a moment before so you can hear what it is they're saying to you. Have that moment and launch into the piece. That moment before into the launch of the piece sets up so much information for the audience that if you don't launch into the piece correctly, you've lost such an amazing opportunity to get them on your side. In that first moment, in that launch, you're setting up the emotional tone of your character, the obstacle that your character's facing. You're setting up the previous circumstances that the audience doesn't get to see. So you must really hit that moment. So to really hit that moment, take in your imaginary scene partner, process what it is they've done to you, and then begin the monologue. Do not skip those steps. So many actors rush the beginning, and because of that, they never quite feel grounded in their objective. But you'll know better. At the end of the piece, or at the end of your audition, if you only have one monologue, you must make sure that you transition out of the character. Let that last beat land. Then, with your internal monologue, with the thoughts in your head, let us know if you've accomplished your objective or not. By giving us that last bit of information, you're staying connected to the story you're telling, and you're showing to the audience that you're actually living the experience moment to moment, even after you've said your last word. After you show us whether you've gotten the objective or not, take a moment and transition back to you. If you have another monologue to do, after you've finished the moment after, take a second, let it drop, and then transition into the other character. If you don't have a second piece, then you transition right back to yourself. This shows them that you could still remain grounded as a human, even during some relatively intense acting. This might seem silly, but after you've transitioned back to yourself, say thank you. After you've transitioned back to yourself, don't say it in character. Then leave yourself open, because they might ask you to talk about yourself, or they might ask you some questions about your experience, or how maybe they really liked your audition and just want to get to know you better. But they can't get to know you better if you're not back to being yourself. Remember that exiting is also being observed. So even if things didn't go perfectly, the way you carry yourself out of the room can still help you land the job. When you finish the audition and you're feeling like you have a grasp of what happened, reflect on how it went. In these videos, I've talked so much about the importance of self-reflection. If you don't take the time to figure out how your process is working for you, well, then you're leaving it up to chance. The whole point of this channel is to give you control over your performances. One of the best ways to avoid chance is to genuinely reflect on what went well, what went poorly, what needs more work, and how you might approach improvement. Without self-reflection, well, a lot of this is kind of pointless. Now that you know the steps, the thing I want you to remember is you must rehearse the entire process. That means rehearse walking in, saying hi to people. Rehearse your slate. Rehearse your transitions from you to character, from character to drop, to another character, back to you, and then your exit. The more you rehearse this process, the more control and power you get over your auditions. Leave nothing to chance. Own that room. I hope you enjoyed that video. Hit the like button, subscribe, share this with anyone who you think might get some use out of it. This little squirmy kitty was part of a hoarding case that our rescue took in, and was one of 32 different cats rescued that day. Okay, say goodnight, Aria. Good night, Aria.